folks? Dude here. Coming to you at another occasion of A Dude After Dark. So what do we have going on this week? Well, usual case of politicians talking out their butts. Right now, it is looking nothing short than just freaking amazing right now. There seems to be so many occasions where the Democrats are doing really just very poor decision type of atmosphere activities, and it seems to be blowing up on their face with a how can we say this without really just being completely ridiculously over snarky. I think it's probably just, well, it's just gonna have to be it's like this. It is blowing up in their face with a spectacular, no, not a splash sound, guy. A spectacular boom. Okay, it is nothing short of amazing how bad their fortunes have turned about and are coming back to bite them squarely in the boo boo. It seems to be a case right now that the situation is. There's certain matters that just need to be handled, and they've handled it most poorly. Martinez Sasquatch, I think that's you, Abrams, I believe. But yeah, well, dude, anytime you can hang out with me, I appreciate it. Since you can only be here for 25, but that's cool. So anyway, look at things as it is. The handling of pretty much the situation they're in with any of the inoculations, vaccinations, call them what you will. Martinez, I did actually hit you up on MeWe, so I don't know if you're still using that MeWe account or not, but you know, you can hit it at your leisure. We can converse thusly. So anyway, situation they're in is we're finding ourselves looking at potentially a whole bunch of just not good stuff coming down the pike in terms of COVID. There's now some scuttlebutt going around, which is pretty much just, Marine Corps jogging for rumors, just, people talking about various things. And it seems to be the case now where they're saying those people who have been vaccinated, and I do have a story to reference on this, but they do have a story now coming out that says those people who have been vaccinated by the mRNA or the modified RNA type of, direct that they're shooting in their arms, doesn't really work so good on the Delta variant. And there's now some other information coming out that says those people who have been exposed to the Delta variant are now potentially going to have a higher viral load. Translation, they got more, not only just they're infected with this stuff, but they're infected with this stuff to such a degree they have scads more than whatever would be in their just basic biosphere, as it were. They're now going to have even more of these things on board, and they're going to be even more infectious to others as persons who were sold the bill of goods to say, oh, no, the vaccination's completely, everything that you'd ever want to see is song and dance, best thing you'd ever want to have happen to you. If you have the inoculation, vaccine, call it what you will, the jab, you'll be able to fight off the virus that you are currently dealing with, and later iterations therein read like the Delta variant, which is coming out of India, I believe it is. Now, it's kind of striking me, too. It's like there's places like Hawaii, and they're like going on about, oh, yeah, well, we're so isolated. And they really are. Hawaii's like, 2,500 miles, 4,000 kilometers from the mainland. And they got it. So the situation they're in is if you're saying, oh, no, you're an island nation, there's no way in the world anybody could have brought it over because, you segregated yourself from the rest of society. There's no way in the world it would have come on board. Slight problem, guys. It's airborne. Once you have something that's airborne, it's transmissible anywhere on the flipping planet. Let's see. Scariest Entertainment says, yes, the base load is larger than regular SARS-CoV-19, but less lethal due to it being a mutation. Martinez Sasquatch. I already feel like Captain Thompson and Das Boot, and now this. Can we at least get some lube? Yeah, well, I got a new one to play for you guys, and this one was just me messing around, and it could be we could all be suffering. Well, we could be suffering a little bit of yeah, not snoo snoo. We'll be suffering. That's right, not snoo snoo. Nope. There's not going to be any. No, there's no snoo snoo. Okay, we are talking full on and out. Just yeah. Curious Entertainment, Vaseline or KY. Dude, as the way things are progressing right now, I'd say probably it's going to be like 10W40. Because nobody's using that stuff anymore. It's just kind of floating around. All right, so how do we break out and have a palate cleanser from pretty much things as it were? Well, I got a couple bit of gear review items to show to you guys. So let's just jump onto that real fast and furious, and we'll progress on to the less palatable things like news at large. First and foremost, obviously ubiquitously, everybody knows about the classic Bic lighter. This one, of course, being a regular one. I got a biddy floating around here somewhere. Oh, where are you hiding? There he is. There he is. So, of course, you got your mini Bic and then your regular size Bic. This one being about 2/3 the size, a lot less gas, but it fits pretty much anywhere. These little guys, I mean, infamously, when I was a kid and these things first came out, we were like, "Oh, these things are great," until you do 18 to 25-year-old activities and you realize they run out of gas real quick when you're trying to light a pipe. Yeah, that's it. When you're trying to light a pipe, there's usually not enough gas in these guys. There's a bit more gas in these guys. And case in point, the only thing I really say survival related for these guys that really tends to suck is the flints, or the striker rod, if you wish to call it that. Really tends not to hold up so good in the long haul. What happens is eventually they just kind of delaminate and they turn into powder. The piezoelectric ones are preferable because essentially piezoelectric. Yeah, I think it's piezoelectric, whatever it is. But anyway, what that one is it's basically a electronic spark creating to make the fire happen. So these guys, essentially, it's a mechanical thing. You're basically striking like a miniature ferrocerium rod or a flint. In this case, it's not a flint. It's a ferrocerium rod. Basically makes the spark to then light the flame. The only problem with these guys is you're trying to light the campfire and your hand's real close, or, you get some blast back on your hand. Not good times. Of course, you're holding this thing and it's getting flipping hot, man. I can tell you for a fact. There's been a number of times you're trying to light a pipe and the wheel is getting really hot. And if you happen to touch the guard, it's really, really hot. So Bic in their infinite wisdom has come out with a different version of this lighter. Same basic footprint. And it is now obviously the forebear and the after guy. So you now have this guy, and it actually fills a couple of unique things, I'm thinking, essentially because it does actually have a longer nozzle. So the flame is coming out here. It's not coming out down here. And it is a piezo fired lighter. And essentially what this guy does is it's basically... it's really kind of like, it's not the best flame. I mean, you can easily put it out. Best thing I can tell you about these guys is essentially it's roughly the same basic footprint, except it's got a little stubby nozzle sticking out the top. So that case, it basically makes it a situation where you need to make up a little bit more space for it because obviously it's going to be just a skosh longer. But the nice thing about it is you're lighting the fire and the flame is way down here. Your hand's not in there. You basically can actually stick this guy in the kindling a bit more. Obviously, the chimney does get a bit hot, so you don't want to touch that afterwards. This one really got warm there in about a second. But if you stuff this guy in there, you then can light the kindling inside the fire. So you now have more reach. What is that, like about an inch or two? Okay, I'll grab the official 80s podcast channel tape measure and give this thing a measure here. The little Schnozola is about just under an inch and a half. I'd say it's probably about 30 millimeters. So 3 centimeters, just enough to stick in there, just a skosh under an inch and a half, just enough to stick into the kindling, get your hands out of harm's way. And obviously, because it's piezo, it's going to have that ability to not go south when you have it in your go kit for a long time, like unfortunately these guys do. And I had some long pack really cheap lighters. I stuck in my, just in case, arts and farts box to, light off stuff. It's me basically playing cute. I really even have a name for the box. I think it's just like Firebox or Tinderbox. I forgot what I actually was calling it. But every one of those lighters, the ferrocerium rod, quote unquote, flint, failed. Still full of gas. I mean, it was just like you could push the button down and, hissing away, plenty of fuel on board. Of course, it's one of those see-through guys where you could like see through the body, see the fuel level. Unfortunately, without a secondary striker or some form of sparks, it ain't lighting off. So, truthfully, if you had a match or something, or if you had like, another form of, spark creation device, obviously you could use that lighter that still has fuel on board. But I tend to now start siding with the piezo guys because they really, they just work. And yes, I know they have like, the little kit things on these. It's just like a little loop of steel they put on there to make it just a little bit harder to turn the spark wheel. Well, usually I just pop those guys out and pitch them because it's just in the way. These guys, I think it's just a little bit more compressive strength needed to actually make the striker fire is what they're considering. Is the fact that the kids won't play with it. But it is quote unquote certified. And I hate doing that air quotes thing, but it kind of works. But the air quote thing, it is, kids certified. So, basically children can't supposedly play with this, and kids playing with matches and all the comments of fire sourcing is never a good thing. But anyway, if you guys find these things in the store, they're just roughly about the same price as a standard Bic lighter. And it is obviously a Bic product. You can't refill either one. I have seen those people online that actually have cheated a way to refill these things. Really not worth it, though. I mean, if you're gonna go that route, just get a better premium butane lighter. And one of my absolute favorite ones is, if I was going to go the butane lighter route, is Milo is running around crazy nuts. Hey, excuse me 1 second here. Yeah, I think he got the message. He's harassing Orange more than a little bit. Anyway, so weight, shape, and form is essentially, you can refill these things, and I know those people have boogered these things to do that. There is a insert that replaces the classic, old school naphtha lighter fluid. This side of it, the old school naphtha lighter fluid does replace that, and it puts a butane insert in place of the classic naphtha fired or whatever the fuel is that they have for those things. And it replaces the spark wheel on that, and it basically gives you a cartridge style that just drops into a classic Zippo lighter that gives you a piezo fired butane lighter. I rather prefer those for the simple reason of a tank of butane is like, it's pretty cheap stuff, and it's like $3 to $5, lasts a hell of a long time. And like anybody I've ever had conversations with, when you start going on about, the bug out vehicle, you're going to have the multi-fuel vehicle because it runs on any kind of petrochemical you can dump in there, including diesel and blah, 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 blah. And I usually contend, and I express thusly, yeah, but even diesel fuel goes bad. Yeah, even eventually everybody's going to wind up scrounging up all the transmission fluid, all the waste vegetable oil, all the old, motor oil. They're going to scrounge all the, the junkyards and clean out all the crankcases of all that crud. But I guarantee you there's not going to be too many people that come driving up to the bulk tank of propane that's sitting out somewhere from the refilling area, and they're going to go, oh, yeah, I'll just get a bucket of propane and just dump it into my car. Propane and liquefied natural gas, either of those never go bad. The only thing you can do with those is you put a hole in the tank and they leak out, and basically it just becomes part of the atmosphere yet again. Let me look at the room here. Martinez Sasquatch, take red lithium grease at this point. Oh, better than a cactus and some lemon juice. Curious entertainment. Wow. Oh, man. Yeah, cactus and lemon juice. That's right up there with a section of foam pole and some, like beach sand. Yeah, that's real satisfaction going on that one. All right. Anyway, going over now to the news sourcing. I do have some duplicity now between the Facebook side and the Gab side, and I do that from just point and parcel of me being just a smart ass, because obviously if I get knocked off on Facebook, I'm still posting stuff on Gab, and it's still stuff I'm going to reference when I'm doing my weekly podcast. So there is going to be many other ways of which to skin a cat, and there's one of them in the house right now who's looking real tempting to be skinned, but hopefully he'll calm down. Anyway, so looking at things as it is, there's now been a lot of conjecture by Facebook saying, oh, you've been exposed to something. We need to give you this little checkbox to say, were you exposed to something? I cannot begin to tell you how disgusting I find it when they do this. And I did get really snarky with it, guys. I mean, I really had fun with this to hoist them by their petard. And it was, you may have been, okay, let me try to clean it up enough so that I can actually read this. But it's a picture of Zuckerberg standing up with this kind of like beatific expression, like one of his little, speech things. But, I had fun with their script. And I said essentially this: you may have been exposed to leftist extremist agenda content recently. Leninist groups of liberal assholes seek to manipulate you to anger and disappointment against normalcy. You can take action now to protect you, your nation, and others. Deny them this opportunity. Get support from conservatives. Spot the signs of socialism. Understand the danger signs of communism and woke extremism, and hear from people on the other side of the aisle. And then, of course, the top box, which is in blue, fight these assholes. Box below it in black, kick them in the balls. So I had fun with them in that regard because, anytime you do this, we think you might have been exposed to something that's going to give you a different viewpoint. That's the kind of stuff that really, truly doesn't need to be said because, freedom of speech and you having your own way of looking at stuff, you should be allowed to completely see things and do things and speak your own mind on any of these social media platforms to any degree up to the point of where you offend others. Because, yes, the freedom of speech is an absolute. And yes, there is no absolute limitation on it for you offending others. That's part of public discourse. You might offend somebody. And if they're offended, too flipping bad. Be offended. Get butthurt, walk around, scream, whine, complain, get a whole bunch of your other screaming Mimi-ites to gather forces and make a big show about how offended you are and how much sand you have in your lady parts. It doesn't need to be said that pretty much freedom of speech pretty much is all-inclusive to say those times where you do those things that might offend somebody else and intrude upon their personal beliefs. Too bad. You're expressing your opinion, and under the Constitution, you are allowed to speak your mind. That's it. Speaking of things speaking their mind, there is no stronger statement in society nowadays than people voting with their pocketbooks. Now, I'm not like a huge basketball fan from any way, shape, or form. To me, it's just a bunch of tall morons running around chasing the ball and trying to throw it in a hole that's facing the wrong way. It really doesn't do anything for me. I have absolutely no axe to grind with it one way or the other. I am completely apolitical, uninterested, and have not an iota of the modicum of interest in any part of anything pro, college, or any level therein of basketball. None whatsoever. However, somebody who has risen above the fray and so made himself so notable that people, even outside those fans of the sport, pretty much hate his freaking guts. Now, who am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about LeBron James. Now, LeBron is a rather abrasive character in the first place because he's pretty much got this very strident Afrocentric thing going on where he stated, I don't want white friends. I don't want to hang out with white guys. I choose not to associate with them. And that's his public statement. You're going to look that up. That's exactly everything he's ever said. Maybe not, exactly verbatim, but that's pretty much how he rolls. There's no way in the world he likes to hang out with somebody that is not of his skin tone, and he's made it very well known. On the basketball courts, I really want to, how can I say this without saying this? How can I say this without saying this? On the court, he's just... You dick. Yeah, that's it. That's it exactly, sound guy. He's just... You
dick.
Yeah, he's just one of those. So anyway, he's so risen above the fray that pretty much even people who aren't even in the sports just hate his freaking guts, man. He's not the nicest chap on the planet, shall we say. Anyway, so the original version of Space Jam, which had Michael Jordan in it, was not completely unwatchable. I mean, yeah, it's a cartoon slash live action movie starring a major basketball player of the time, and it actually did fairly well. As a matter of fact, if you guys want to get a good laugh, go online and look up Space Jam, the website. The website is still working from like the late 1990s. It's this really, really bad flash animation, and just it looks terrible. I mean, it looks like the worst version of Craigslist you'll ever want to see. Like the old GeoCities stuff. Just bad animation, bad execution, bad flash, just like all primary color, like it's either like 16 or like 24 colors, just like glaring at you like a child's birthday bash. It's like just blatantly right there. But it works. So the website is still up, and you guys can still check it out for what it's worth. And the original Space Jam was actually a pretty decently successful movie, mostly because everybody really liked Michael Jordan. Everybody kind of likes, the Looney Tunes. Put those two items together, it worked just fine. Everybody was kind of into it. They were watching the movie, of course, renting the video later on, of course, buying the DVD later on, and it was a fairly successful enterprise for the production company that made it. Now, what did they do with LeBron? Well, they decided, because Hollywood has no original ideas anymore, they said, hey, let's remake Space Jam, and let's remake Space Jam with the guy that everybody hates his guts with. Oh, Jesus. Curious Entertainment. Yes, I know that for a fact. The Space Jam website is one of the oldest active websites on the internet, and if you inspect its code, you'll see a few Easter eggs. It was taken down for a few months, but Fox put it back up. Yes, I know the website is up and functioning, and it's been around forever. It is literally one of the oldest operating web pages on the internet. So anyway, the LeBron James Space Jam bombs, and I do mean bombs, denied China opening. Huge slap in the face to LeBron. Why? Because LeBron was brown nosing to the CCP, so the Chinese Communist Party, just brown nosing for all it was worth to try to get that movie allowed into China. And the Chinese said, you know what? No, not feeling it. You're a big dumb doofus. We don't care what you say. We don't care how much you kiss up to us. We don't want you. So, and this is an article coming from dailywire.com, posted up on July 21. Space Jam sequel starring woke NBA star LeBron James is on track to lose more than $100 million after being shut out of the communist Chinese and scoring anemic numbers at domestic theaters. Remember that part I was telling you, like everybody kind of hates his guts? Yeah. There's only 13% of the population of the United States that happens to be black, and not every black person in the United States is a strident NBA fan. And of that, not everybody's a strident, oh yeah, let me throw some cash in the ticket box, want to see this goofy movie, kind of a person. Let's see. So the hit to, quote, Space Jam: A New Legacy, end quote, is particularly bad news for James, who infamously publicly pandered to communist China and turned his back on freedom protesters in Hong Kong. Nice. Outback founder and radio host Clay Travis summed up the damage to James and general silence from the media about it Wednesday on Twitter. Quote, despite LeBron James shutting up and dribbling for Chairman Xi, China still won't allow Space Jam 2 to air, meaning the movie is likely to lose several $100 million. Should be a massive story. LeBron bent the knee and China still spurned him, yet the media isn't covering it, end quote, Travis said. Space Jam 2 cost $200 million to make and market. and will likely only make 60 to 70 million without China. Meaning LeBron's movie will lose over $100 million at least. China blocking the movie is a huge story, but no one is even discussing it in the media. Strange. That's all still Travis. LeBron ripped the First Amendment in the United States, declined to speak for basic human rights in China, and shut up and dribbled for Chairman Xi, all to get Space Jam 2 on in China. And now LeBron won't even talk about his movie being banned because he's still afraid of upsetting China. Yeah. John Nolte at Breitbart reported Saturday that the sequel, quote, died at the box office, end quote, at its opening weekend, pulling a pathetic $32 million opening. Now, you got to put this in comparison. Way back in 1996, Michael Jordan's original cleared $27.5 million on more than 1,000 fewer theaters. Just produced the flick, he said, cost $150 million. And that doesn't include promotional costs, which easily puts it closer to $250 million. Plenty of movies die a domestic death at the box office. However, they can still become profitable, declare themselves a worldwide hit, thanks mainly to China's mammoth box office market, which has saved many Hollywood blockbusters from financial catastrophe. James's movie was denied a Chinese opening, though, despite his pandering to the Chinese. Most notable, James left then Houston Rockets GM Daryl Morey to dangle after he committed a grave sin of expressing support to Hong Kong protesters. And it just goes on and on and on. Now, here's the thing that really most people don't really understand about Hollywood movies. Say a Hollywood movie costs $100 million. Usually, the distribution, the advertising, and everything else that comes into play usually costs another 100% of what the original cost was on the movie. So the movie needs to make $200 million just to, quote unquote, break even. Now, the dirty little secret is, and this is really, really huge, and this is one of these kind of things I think is just absolutely hilarious. You look at some of the movies that Arnold Schwarzenegger has done, and he has a deal behind the scenes, and he says, look, I'm going to get paid on the gross. I am not going to get paid on the net. Because the way that Hollywood theaters can work stuff is they can make a movie that's way cash positive, and they can say, oh, yeah, well, all these other expenses came up, and all these other things cost us a lot of money, and yeah, that movie, it didn't make a squat. You know, with creative accounting, they can pretty much hide any potential earnings or profits in any movie that they so wish to do. So Schwarzenegger, and I forget which movie it was, I think it was one of the Terminator movies, he said essentially, look, I want to be part of the profit margin in the movie, whether it makes only $50,000. I want to be part of that profit margin no matter what. And, of course, the movie that he got to be part of was absolutely huge, made scads of cash. Of course, Schwarzenegger's not broke to begin with. But if you look at the guy, you think he's a total goofball. Financially, though, he's not a total whiz. But I'll tell you what, he definitely knows the way that things work. And the dirty little secret is Schwarzenegger came over here, and he was already a millionaire when he started, doing the, Mr. Universe competitions and all the rest of that fun stuff, because he'd started up a company in California after, I think, one of the earthquakes, and the building company was also a supply company. So he was supplying building materials to fix stuff that was broken in California, and he made tons of cash. So he was already a millionaire back in like the 70s when he was working out and doing the Mr. Universe competitions, and was well on his way to becoming quite rich, also becoming a Hollywood movie star, of which everybody's kind of still scratching their head going, how the hell did this guy get on, film to begin with? But anyway, so that's the way Hollywood works, is usually the movies don't show a scintilla of profit. And it's just this very creative accounting process that they do to hide any kind of potential income. And then, of course, oh, yeah, well, this movie didn't make squat. Of course, the whole time they're going, oh, yeah, this movie cost X amount of millions of dollars to make. It only made X amount of $1 million to produce, blah, 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 blah. The movie made, that's like, they're saying like the movie cost $200 million and made $600 million and didn't make a dime. It's like, really? Come on, stop. At the very least, you should be $200 million profitable, and you're fine. Okay, stop complaining for fun and profit. You're fine. Let's see. Scrolly. I don't know if you guys caught this one or not. This one's from usnews.com. AP/NORC poll. Most unvaccinated Americans don't want shots. Oh, who would have thunk that? It's coming from the Associated Press on July 23. By Tammy Weber and Emily Swanson, Associated Press. Most Americans who have been vaccinated against COVID-19 say they're unlikely to get the shots and doubt they will work against the aggressive Delta variant, despite evidence they do, according to a new poll, which underscores the challenges facing public health officials amid soaring infections in some states. Now, here's the thing. They don't count people who are infected versus people who are absolutely hosed by this thing and differentiate between the two. They just simply say, oh, yeah, the infection rate's through the roof. Well, that's kind of not the same thing. That's like the same thing that they've been doing with this whole, herd immunity thing by saying if enough people are vaccinated, we'll achieve herd immunity. Vaccination is not herd immunity. Herd immunity means you've acquired whatever it is, you've fought it off, and you are now immune. Those people who have come in contact with you have also received the whatever it is, caught it, beat it, and they're now immune. To such point that the population of the planet beats it to a degree now, and they survive the further onslaughts of mutations. Read like the flu, read like the cold, and many other diseases which used to just wipe people out. Not so much Black Death and all the rest of those fun things, but those things that actually would come in and just wipe you out accordingly. And they were just, they were done deals. You would get it and you were just dead duck. So you say, going back here, among American adults who have not received the vaccine, 35% they will probably not, and 45% say they will definitely not. According to a poll from the Associated Press, NORC Center for Public Affairs Research, just 3% say they definitely will get the shots. Another 16% say they probably will. Well, that's 19% of wishy-washy, don't know, maybe potentially, maybe not liking the questionnaire, maybe wanting to, to stop the questions from coming, maybe just bored talking to that person. What's more, 64% of unvaccinated Americans have little or to no confidence in the shots are effective against variants, including the Delta variant, that officials say it was responsible for 83% of new cases in the United States, despite evidence that they offer strong protection. Now, I have a little bit of an axe to grind with that one because a lot of the information we've been getting out of the government has been arbitrary. It's been not exactly just peer-reviewed, and it's also been stated in such a way that, it's like this sledgehammer against the fly thing, like, you better get it or you're going to get it or blap, it's really kind of just overarching, authoritarian, not the way you wish to get people to do something. You don't basically scare somebody into doing something because human nature is most times when you basically say, you better do this. Human nature, especially in the United States citizens, we're rebels to our core and we're like, you know what? Not feeling it. That's just how we roll. So it goes on and on and on and on and on and on. I'm not going to keep reading on and on and on and on and on and on. This is exceedingly good shiznit. I don't know if you guys have been keeping up on this or not, but there's been this kind of overarching assault against traditional Christians by certain groups in the other side of the aisle, shall we say. I don't know. It's really kind of one of these just overarching things to say, like, only people of this are Democrats or only people of that are Republicans. But there seems to be a very stridently staunch group of people who really are just trying to take an axe to grind against Christians. So this is coming from Patriot Journal. Franklin Graham gets major ruling from court. They just decided in favor of religious liberty. Now, you can ask anybody in the business, okay? This is one of those kind of cool things. Franklin Graham, Billy Graham. I've seen interviews where Billy Graham was sitting next to the most just agnostic and atheistic person on the planet, and they're like, you know what? I really don't like Christianity. He goes, you know what? That's fine. That's your personal choice. When you decide to accept Jesus and become blah, 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 I'll be here for you. I'm not going to beat you over the head with it because it's a free choice. If you choose not to do these things, I can't help you, okay? But what I can do is I coordinate, between you, him, and all these other guys And of course, the big guy upstairs, I coordinate all these things, and I basically can put you in a direct line with the big man upstairs. But if you don't choose to do that, I'm fine with it too, because that's your personal choice. And I always thought that was really kind of cool about Billy Graham was that was pretty much the way he said things in just interviews. And he was just, he was basically just an exceedingly nice guy. I mean, I would say, essentially in terms of like, the holy roller guys that you could be absolutely dealing with, he was the guy that walked the walk, talked the talk, and did it correct. He wasn't one of these, oh, you better send me dollars so I can run my church of excess and da 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 da. He wasn't like that at all. You actually saw him doing good things with that money that he actually acquired to do good works. And his son is literally a chip off the old block. Another good guy. So Franklin Graham, son of beloved preacher Billy Graham, is recognized around the world as a spiritual leader. In the United States, people gather from all corners to hear the man teach and preach. You can always see him speak at rallies and events that pull in hundreds, even thousands. But not that long ago, a radical leftist group tried to ban him from appearing in ads for a 3-day festival. What? They couldn't deal with the fact that they had the rest of the place to themselves for 362 days a year? The group was accusing Graham of bigotry because of biblically backed views. The case was taken to court. Notice this is how the little camel's nose under the tent kind of way these leftist groups tend to do things is they come up with the most convoluted way to say that you're a bigot, a homophobe, a racist, check block and all these other things, and they run that to court and they try to shut you down by using the control features of a basic society, saying, "Oh, you breached some law or ethos or ethics or blah 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 blah." We're just gonna take you down, man, because the stuff you're doing is just so above board. We just can't deal with it, and you need to be shut up. Well, there's a slight problem with that. In most societies, if you overreach and you overreach so grossly that it's just blatant that you're overreaching, even those people on the other side of the aisle, like, yeah, man, you're kind of like, you're really just going too far. So anyway, he received a major victory. This is from the Western Journal. Quote, a court has ruled in favor of the organizers of the 2018 Lancashire Festival of Hope in England after Blackpool Transport removed advertisements for a 3-day festival from their buses. The judge ruled that the council and bus firm had violated the Equality Act and Human Rights Act by banning the advertisements. Now, this shows you how long ago it has happened, because they said 2018. Quote, this is an important moment for religious freedom in the UK, end quote, Graham said in a statement. An LGBT group pressured the Blackpool Council and Blackpool Transport to take down the ads for a 3-day festival because they featured Reverend Franklin Graham. The group attacked the Christian minister because of his biblical views on marriage. The local leadership came to the activists, forcing the organizers of the Christian event to take down their advertisements. The situation was taken all the way to court, and Graham was vindicated. Blackpool Council and Blackpool Transport even issued a public apology to the organizers over their actions. Well, they should be doing a whole hell of a lot more than that. They need to be making a donation to the charity of, Franklin Graham's choice. The court ruled that the council violated their own equality laws by discriminating against this religious event. Now, if you're thinking this doesn't affect America, since this happened all the way in very old England, think again. The same kind of radical groups operate in the U.S. They frequently try to find ways to undermine and erode the First Amendment rights of churches and religious groups. The left seems to think that gay rights trump the religious freedoms protected by the Constitution. Anyone they deem as quote-unquote enemy to their agenda is dragged into court or worse. This victory is a big deal for everyone who believes no government or group has the right to trample upon our religious freedoms. Now, it can be even stated more succinctly than that. They denied him his freedom of speech, and they're trying to do that here. Enumerated in the Constitution and enumerated under, the amendments in there, and, freedom of speech, that's the first one, and they're trying to, shut him up. Frankly, if it's from a church I really have nothing to ascribe to, I probably don't have any reason to, even care one way or the other what dude is doing. Oh, but his religious beliefs and biblical statements on marriage are blah, 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 blah. Okay, and that's his opinion, and that's him making public statements. And, you might actually have to contest him in the court of law. But last time I looked, gay marriage was pretty much legal throughout the law of the land. So why are you so concerned? Are you afraid that the law is so fragile that it might fail? I thought it was almost like a constitutional amendment for like gay marriage now. You afraid that that's going to fail? Is your position so weak that you can't have anybody stating, look, in the bygone days in the Bible, it was stated as such, and this, that, and the other thing, blah, 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 blah. Well, I'm sure other people have other dissenting views of anybody's groups, of anybody's opinions, and you're just going to have to deal with the fact dude has other opinions than yours, and oh yeah, you don't get to shut him up for saying them publicly. I don't know if you guys caught this or not, but this was a softball game. I'm obviously I cannot play the YouTube video because obviously YouTube algorithms and YouTube stuff will go recognize it and go, hey, that's somebody's other video. We'll slap you with a copyright infringement and make you have to give them money. Well, you're not making that much money on YouTube, but you're sure basically going to make them a couple bucks when you're not going to be making a couple bucks. So I tend not to do that. But essentially what it was is there was a softball game. Everybody was getting ready to get, off the field, precursor to doing the national anthem. The announcer's like, well, we're going to be doing our national anthem so we don't offend anybody. Blah, 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 blah. And everybody basically stepped off the field. No more than about 2 seconds after that, you had people singing the national anthem, and those kids ran back on field. The umpires ran back on field, doffed their caps, basically stood at attention, basically not saluting, but standing at attention and paying reverence and respect to the flag while the national anthem was sung. So that didn't work. That's listed up on my Gab account. I think I actually put it on my Facebook, not YouTube, but I put it on my Facebook. I don't know if you guys caught this one or not. This is another video I can't play. I really can't play. But Mrs. Dude heard this video when I literally found out about it, and she stepped into the house after getting back, and I was like, "What does this sound like to you?" And she's like, "It sounds like gibberish, but." What's he trying to say? Everybody's like scratching their heads going, we don't know, but it sounds distinctly like my butt's been wiped. So we don't know what Joe Kaka was talking about, but Joe Kaka was definitely saying he's got a clean hiney or something, or we don't even know what it was, but I cannot do it justice, but just look up my butt's been wiped. And it's now a hashtag. It's all over Twitter. Twitter's losing their minds trying to shut it down. And he's looking not so good in the process of doing these weird jitters in public. Okay? He's just not. Let's see. This one is absolutely awesome. I cannot begin to tell you guys how cool this is. Let me see if I can't find a way to see this without seeing this. Okay, well, I can draw outside the lines. I can give you the general gist. Supposedly, a lot of states have constitutional carries. I think there's like 21 or 22 now. I think Louisiana is still going back and forth about whether they're going to do it. The government pretty much shot it down, but they might still ram it through in the state house. So that's still floating about. 21 states currently have constitutional carry or unlicensed, needing certification to do such. Concealed carry, open carry, call it what you will. Constitutional carry is the law of the land in those 21 states. You can carry a firearm either on your person or openly, and pretty much that's it. So anyway, the long and the short essentially is the case has now been challenged, and this is huge. This is a case that was supposed to be just one of those kind of, don't bother with it. We'll no file and, we'll just kick the can down the road, which is pretty much what has been happening for a lot of years. Like the BATF has been infamous for having a case go to court. And then at the last second, they'll go, well, we'll drop the charges. And the reason being they drop the charges is because they don't want to have a sine sera, or I think that's how it is. But essentially what it is a holding good court decision stating this is now the interpretation of how things are. So the situation they're in now is the Supreme Court of the United States will be looking at these states. I think there's like 5 of them that really don't allow concealed carry, my state being one of them. And it makes it very, very hard to obtain a concealed carry permit. So much so that it places the hurdles so high that you cannot obtain a carry permit with ease unless you know somebody, blow somebody, or know somebody and blow somebody, or you're politically connected, or they deign to say, well, you've given good and reasonable reason to have a concealed carry permit. There's been people who have said, my house has been broken into 4 times. I need to be able to protect myself. They're like, yeah, well, you don't need that. You're not in any imminent danger. So it's now going to go all the way to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is going to decide whether Heller from the D.C. judgments, whether it holds and bears merit on concealed carry reciprocity all through the United States. And that's the thing, too, is there's some states that are actually very good for reciprocity. I think one of the best states is like Utah, or I think it might actually be like Texas or New Mexico or something like that. I forget which one it is, but there's a couple of states in the union, they literally have reciprocity with like 36 or 38 other states that say, yeah, we recognize this other state's carry permit, and it's not even an issue. And then there's other states that have pretty much just constitutional carry. I can basically holster up, or I can have carried on my person in West Virginia, and nobody's going to say a freaking word to me. However, as soon as I cross back into Maryland, I better stash that thing unloaded in the trunk, or I'm in trouble. Maryland does not have good carry permissions at all. Pennsylvania is kind of toeing the line right now about which way they're going to go for constitutional carry. So potentially, if it flips over that way, I literally could drive north into Pennsylvania, drive west into West Virginia, and I'd be 2 states being able to, perfectly legal to constitutionally carry a firearm with no carry permit whatsoever. Now, the thing about it is, and the way it's being executed, is they're seeing this as is an absolute right is an absolute right. If you're granted a driver's license in one state, it's not that, any other state in the union can go, well, we just don't recognize that license from that state because we just don't like the way that they drive in that state. The licensing procedure, we think, is just subjective, and potentially we're just not going to allow those guys from that state to drive into our state using that driver's license. So they're now seeing it under the realm of licensing and how things work in full reciprocity, that they're saying that the way it's been executed thus far is not legally binding. And it needs to be challenged because it's not anything that is constitutionally correct for all the states in union. So they kind of messed up big time here, because what they did was they literally asked for something to have happen and get pushed all the way to the big court. Now, the thing about it is the challenges thus far had always been squelched because, the court would just say, well, we're just not going to see the case. Well, unfortunately, a state allowed it stupidly, but they allowed it in their arrogance to say, well, we're just not going to allow it to have happen, and that's going to be our final word on it. And of course, it got challenged, it got appealed, and now it's got kicked up to a higher court. So they messed up big time. Let's see. Scroll. I don't know if you guys have been seeing like some of the back and forth between, Joe Kaka and the media. It has not been getting pretty. As a matter of fact, it's been getting downright ugly. And he's now getting snarky and saying, oh, you're a pain in my neck. I don't understand the other thing. And basically like chased out all the media people after like receiving like questions that either called him out on some statements or made him have to respond in great detail. Joe Kaka is not doing good. And he's looking really, really close right now at somebody filing a 25th Amendment and saying, dude, you ain't all there. You got to get out of job. You are done. So that's now going on, and it's looking rather interesting. And this is also something else that's really, really cool gun-wise. This is coming in from ammoland.com, and I cannot begin to tell you how cool I think this is. As a matter of fact, if there's any country right now I want to go and see, it's Czechoslovakia. I would love to see those guys. I would love to go to Prague. I would love to check the place out. Why? Because also they're one of the few countries that told the EU, go away. The Czech Republic has just passed a constitutional amendment, the right to self-defense with arms. 2015, after a series of Paris jihadi terrorist attacks, the bureaucrats of the European Union found the opportunity to further restrict the ownership of firearms in European countries. That would be the EU. They created extremely restrictive new protocols, which further restricted the ownership of common arms. The Czech Republic had some of the least restrictive firearms laws in the European Union. According to the Czech people, the ability to own firearms and use them for protection was a significant measure of freedom, which is why they did not have when they were which they didn't have when they were part of the Soviet Empire. Trust me, they know freedom now. The move to the amendment started in 2015 after the terrorist attacks in Paris. By the middle of 2016, Czech president, I'm going to have to take a stab at this because I'm really not good at Czech, but Milos, and it has the S with the slash on top. So Milos Zeman. Milos Zeman was suggesting citizens should be armed, quote, over the long term, end quote, and carry pistols in public to defend against terrorist attacks. I like that guy a lot. The move to amend the Constitution and add protection to the right to defense of self and others with arms has continued with some variation from expat CZ. The complementation of the Charter of Fundamental Rights and Freedom arises from a petition signed by 102,000, including many senior politicians. The final version appears relatively short from laprensalentina.com. The amendment states the right to defend one's life or the life of others, even with the use of fire or even with the use of weapons, is guaranteed. Wow. The right to defend one's life or the life of others, even with the use of weapons, is guaranteed. Holy snackies. If there's not any way stronger to place that or state it, I don't think I've ever seen it. I think that's actually even stronger than our Constitution. Fred Hart in Room says Czech Republic also makes some awesome firearms too. CZ75 I want. That is my one Czech firearm. Is I have a pre-Model B CZ75 9mm pistol, and I got to tell you what, man, that thing is shooting better than I can shoot. It is absolutely some of the nicest firearms engineering and machining I have ever seen. And the thing sings like a bank vault when you close the slide. It's not clunk, it's ka-chink. It's great shiznit. Fred, I would definitely recommend you get a CZ75. Preferably, you need two. You need one in 9mm, you need one in 45. Okay, then you'll be happy because you'll have both the major calibers, and of course, you can put one on either hip, and then of course, you can choose your caliber choice accordingly for the size of the bad guy. Let's see. The lower house of the Czech parliament has passed an amendment on 28 June with 139-9 majority. Wow. Patriot Fever, appreciate you coming on by tonight, dude. The lower house of the Czech parliament July 21 July 1921, the Senate passed the amendment with 54 of 74 senators voting for it. Quote, the proposal is not only symbolic in nature, but it also serves as insurance for the future, said Senator Martin Cervicek, so Cervicek on behalf of the submitters. Cervicek pointed to the tendency of some EU countries to ban carrying any object that can be used as a weapon. According to Cervicek, the disarmament of the population will not bring greater security as criminals will obtain weapons illegally. Hallelujah. The amendment will take effect sometime from 1 August to 1 September 2021. From Prague Morning CZ, Czech lawmakers approved an amendment which will enshrine the right to use a weapon in self-defense in the Czech Constitution, a new right that will be included in the country's Charter of Fundamental Rights and Freedoms. I like the Czechs. I really, really like the Czechs. Many people suggest the amendment does not have any teeth because the European Union rules override it. At a YouTube site, a Czech citizen explains how they expect the strategy to be expanded from a comment by František Kribik, KRBC, at Happy Gun News. Maybe you ask why this additional constitutional law helps us secure our civil gun ownership against EU restrictions because EU restrictions are more powerful than the basic laws of EU countries. This constitutional right is just the first step. The second step, which will follow and already is in our parliament and the Senate for discussion, is that our government, especially our Ministry of Internal Affairs, in collaboration with the Ministry of Defense, will make a project which called the Defined State Backups, and it means that all gun owners can sign a special training with guns covered by state armed forces. This course should deepen the civil gun owners' skill to defend lives in the special police force until the special police force arrives. It is our reaction on terrorism in case with active shooters in schools, public areas, etc. We know that the police cannot be everywhere. This means that the gun owners which undertake this training and make a promise will become, let's say, part of the internal or interior security. The interior security is one of the fields where EU has no rights, and then we can say, okay, you cannot tell us what kind of guns or size of magazines we can have because this is strictly in our competition for internal safety. So essentially what they're doing is they're doing a workaround saying everybody's going to be part of the militia. Does this sound even slightly familiar to you people? Does it even sound slightly familiar? I think what they did was they basically looked at our Constitution and said, okay, let's do this how we do stuff, but let's do stuff in our own way of saying things. And it basically, we could draw this from whole cloth. So, Second Amendment Constitution, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. They basically just said we're going to make all these guys militia members. Done. That's it. Finish. Finito. Oh, man. So, I don't even know why they are part of the EU anymore anyway. It's kind of one of those, why are you even there deals? Kind of makes me wonder. Let's see. Scroll. I don't know if you guys saw this news article, but this one's kind of cracking me up. Oh, first off in the room, Gator Red says, CZ makes the best bolt-action 550 Mauser design, but cost of design changed. I like Savage and Remington, but custom action costs $1,200 and up. Cost of other parts go wild, too. Dude, I tell you, some of the nicest fit and finish I have ever seen on a modern-produced firearm literally has been the CZs. The carbine that they make that's in 7.62 by 3.9 / same short action for 5.56/223. It's a dandy action. And the other thing, too, most people don't realize is you take one of those CZ weapons, you basically run the bolt, so the action is now, you've taken the striker and you put it in a cock position. If you take the trigger and you push it forward, it becomes a set trigger. So you basically got a target trigger in what's essentially a small woods carbine, and it's going to shoot really, really well. I mean, that's kind of cool thinking. They just do that. Speaking, on the other side of the aisle, I'm just going to say karma is a mother father. Snarky, anti-gun, libtard California senator. This really kind of cracks me up here. Former Senator Barbara Boxer was assaulted and robbed in California. Huh. Well, let's see. The place is so safe. You've done such good things to it. How could that possibly could have happened? Huh. How could that possibly could have happened? Because they made such a just wonderful place and everybody just so loves being there and it's so great. And, they're seeing you as a target of opportunity because you're the rich white chick, okay? Former U.S. Senator Barbara Boxer was assaulted and robbed Monday in Oakland, California. The assault happened in the Jack London Square neighborhood, according to a tweet on Boxer's verified Twitter account. Quote, the assailant pushed her in the back, stole her cell phone, and jumped in a waiting car, the tweet said. She was thankful that she was not seriously injured. The tweet was confirmed via email by Boxer's son, Douglas Boxer, an attorney. Responding to multiple media inquiries, the Oakland Police Department confirmed a robbery at about 1:15 p.m. in the area, but didn't identify the victim. Let's just see. What did you think she probably got for, that to happen? She was walking down the street, probably yakking on her phone with no situational awareness at all. Just none. In the news side of the Washington Bureau of Stupidity, Peppermint Pasaki is at it again. Oh, jeez. Okay, I'm just going to read you the quote because the rest of the story is all fluff, but Peppermint Pasaki got to look like a total fool again and was snarky, just snippy, unhappy, pissy, swiping at the media guys, asking her the question. But they said, if vaccines work, why do the vaccinated need to wear masks? And she couldn't answer the question and got snarky about it in response to the media's inquiries. They're losing it, folks. I mean, they're really, really losing it. The White House right now is just doing abysmally. And that's being very, very generous to state it as such. They are doing abysmally. They're definitely losing support. The poll numbers that Joe has right now, okay, I cannot say his name, okay? I can't, okay? I can't say his name. If I say his name, I'm probably going to get dinged for, speaking in some kind of just obscenity, okay? But I'm speaking about... Right. We're talking about President... Okay, so Joe... Thanks, sound guy. So Joe... Joe... I got him. Ow. All right. So anyway, Joe, I got him. I got him. Oh, with the dings again. All right. Anyway. Okay. So anyway, Joe Kaka is pretty much making public statements that are just not good press. The whole, my butt's been wiped. I mean, if you're going to speak to the, any of these screaming Mimiite guys, you want to be clear in your statements. If nothing else, just walk up and just, hey, how you doing? But the problem with Joe Kaka is he tries to be cute. And right now there's just so many misfiring neurons that it ain't working good. Speaking of misfiring neurons and electrons, anyway, we had a power failure a couple of days ago, and the situation is what it is. I mean, I really don't like being without power for my devices, and I truly have a couple backups. I mean, obviously, there's if you have the power bricks, this one being what's called a pocket juice, and it's insanely ridiculous just how many milliamperes this thing has. I mean, it's like 20,000 milliamperes. So this thing will recharge a modern, newer smartphone like 5 times. It is a little bit oppressive in terms of size and weight, but if you're taking a trip or something and you want to make sure you've always got power, have one of these guys, okay? I mean, truthfully, when it comes down to it, you're going to go through, the TSA stuff. They'll walk you right through. As long as you have this thing out and they can eyeball it and go, okay. Looks like a battery. Grizz, appreciate you coming by, dude. So anyway, have yourself one of these guys. Failing that, there is a couple of fallbacks that you guys can definitely do. I've shown this before, and it is just one of those very, very handy, kind of tool chest items. Probably should go down and break down and buy one of these guys. I mean, I know they're at Harbor Freight. They're probably cheaper. This one was about $90. But it is literally one of these jumpstart boxes. You see, you do have the plugs on either side. But the thing that's kind of really cool about it, let me get this wire out the way, is it does have, of course, a power port, cigarette lighter, call it what you will. And it does also have a USB plug. Now you're like, oh, dude, well, it's only got one USB plug. Well, yeah, but there is workarounds, okay? If you guys think logically and you can do stuff the way that you think you should do stuff, well, you probably should be thinking out of the box. You get yourself like one of these, multi-plug guys for a USB plug, and then you simply just jack the guy in there. Of course, you have always that weird getting the USB thing right. So you now basically have 3 USB plugs ready to run and gun and supply power, multiple charging ports and what have you. And the sheer size of this thing, it's like a motorcycle battery. It weighs about 20 pounds or so. So it's not the latest thing. And I don't think it's a lead acid battery, but they do say you need to keep it up on charge. Otherwise, what happens is the plates get wonky and it just doesn't keep a charge anymore. So every once in a while, every month or two, every month and a half or so, I'll top it off and check the gas gauge. And that's really all you need to do is just check the gas gauge. But the nice thing about it is it's also got a built-in flashlight. So it is a very, very handy all-in-one type of thing. Is it the most portable? Probably not, but you could throw this thing in a backpack with one person, and then they would have like not too terrible much weight on them. And if you think about it, if you're in a camping situation, if you're running this thing and basically just charging phones, this thing's going to be charging phones for like probably the next 2 weeks. And if you need like additional lighting, obviously, you are set with additional lighting. Obviously, you can basically run other stuff off it. If the car battery goes dead, obviously you can start the car with it. I mean, there's a bunch of other things you could do with these guys. Avail yourself to have one of these jumpstart boxes because they are many multiple use items and they're really just a big honking battery. Let's see. Scroll in the room. Fred Hart in the room says portable solar panel is good to have too. Yes. There is a lot of those soft panels now that are intended for people to go camping with, and they're really kind of flexy and floppy, and you can basically stick them in a backpack and they work. I mean, there's a lot of ones now, they're basically at the size of like a loose leaf notebook. They just kind of flop out like 3 leaves of like a notebook, and it'll top off pretty much your devices. It'll keep your stuff running and gunning. Obviously, in lieu of having a situation where you're basically going, oh crap, my stuff is now dead. You're out in sunlight. It's free. Why are you not charging your stuff using solar at this point? If you're out running a gun in the field, I have no clue. Anybody that has an RV trailer or otherwise that doesn't have solar panels on their roof, they're just a fool because you have all that wasted real estate up top that's not doing anything. So any of those situations where you basically have a lot of square footage and a lot of space to be utilizing, put some solar panels up there. If nothing else, you're getting free power. You're not needing to run the engine all the time. Or during the hottest part of the day, it's defraying the battery usage or the generator usage because you're using that which is heating up your stuff to keep your stuff cool. All good things. Let's see. I need an Elgato Stream Deck for my sound guy. Elgato Stream Deck. I might need to look up one of those things. Elgato Stream Deck. I'll have this, that, and the other thing. Okay, well, I'll check that out later there, Fred. Appreciate the name. Gator Red in the room says, if key 1 bad, use key 2. Okay, if you close the brakes, work. Traction control with trailer 2. Airflow warning, took trailer to brass. Got this, that, and the other thing. Springs is okay. Have solar. Oh, Gatorade says he has solar the camper and old type used at home. Charge the fridge. My power bill went down. I remember reading this one story a while back. And supposedly this guy really pissed off Toyota Motor Cars. And of all things, guy is a electrical engineer. And he had has, or I don't know at this point, but he had at the time, he had a Toyota Prius. And of course, lots of snow and, obviously, not the best conditions to charge with. So his solar panels weren't really being that operative to keep his battery bank up. So he plugged his laptop into his Prius and he said, hey, Prius, what I want you to do is when my battery bank drops down to this battery level, I want you to start. I want you to charge up my battery bank. And then what I wish for you to do is do a power down cycle and place yourself on standby to the next occasion where you see my battery bank dropping down. So supposedly the guy said he was snowed in for, I forget the amount of time, and the car only used about a quarter tank of gas. And he said, I never lost power and everything stayed running. And, my solar panels were almost useless at that point, but the car kept my house happy. Well, Toyota found out about it and they're like, hey, we never built our car to be a power generator. And he's like, you know what? It's out of warranty. You're not going to tell me how to do anything at this point. Pedro Weaver, sound guy, still needs a beanie weenie shirt. Oh, jeez. All right, so we've shifted now to food. Okay, obviously, I'm gonna give you a slight food review here. Okay, obviously, ubiquitously, everybody knows about the classic ramen noodles. Obviously, either Top Ramen or the other varieties. I don't mind the top ramens. I mean, they're ramen noodles. Okay, you basically throw a bunch of adjuncts in there. Usually, you throw some eggs in there. Obviously, you throw some spigage in there. This one, of course, being the Latin version of spigage. So this is the hamania, which is basically just ham. So hamania, which is now one of those other kind of cool things. It's a steel can from Denmark, and supposedly this is like the preferred one that the Latinos like. This one, of course, is not the cheapest one. I got this thing, I think of Walmart or one of those stores. It's like $3.60, so it's a little bit on the pricier side. But I was curious to see what it's like, so obviously I wanted to, try my square spig. But anyway, so obviously you cube this guy up, you throw it in with your ramen. Obviously you have some eggs in there, all the rest of that good stuff. So what other varieties do we have rocking in the house? Well, my niece, she's gotten it in her head that the spicy ones are the best ones. So she's rocking the Korean ones. This one being the Nongshim, which is the Shin Ram Yun. So I guess that'd be like the Korean version of saying, ramen noodles. Exceedingly popular in the Korean culture. They got those guys like their stuff hot, man. And this one is twangy. Now there is one that comes in a black bag, and this is kind of one of those funny things. My niece happens to have a Jamaican boyfriend, and she got a hold of the couple bags of the black one to try out. And I think she went on Amazon or something, or saw like a TikTok video or some other video like, oh yeah, I got to try this stuff. It is blisteringly hot. I mean, it's like you take it out of the package and you make the stuff, and it's like the noodles are like deep red, like don't even think about trying to eat me red spicy, like just oil floating around on the top. The stuff is just absolutely the insane level of heat. Well, she tried it. She couldn't hang. Her Jamaican boyfriend goes, I think I can handle this. I eat hot food all the time. Gave it a try, and he's like, no, not feeling it. Can't hang. So when a Jamaican can't hang with the Korean stuff, it is hot rod and ready to rock, man. Now, the other thing too is also sheer pricing. I mean, these are like ubiquitously in the stores, like 50 cents or so, or 3 for $1. I mean, any of the basic ramen's ridiculously cheap. This stuff's not so cheap, but you can find it by the case in the big box stores. I think a case of it was like $10 or $12 or something. But you're not going to be rocking these things every single day. Okay, so they last for a while, and it's actually a really premium package. This feels kind of This actually feels like they intend for this to go around the planet and actually have some rough use. So this stuff is actually, obviously better ingredients and better packaging, costs more. Now, this one was my try version earlier, and it was, of all things, there's a YouTube channel that I follow. It's a Singaporean guy that always goes to vending machines, or he'll go on cruises, or he'll go to like the cheap Chinese food store and the cheap Japanese food store, get like cheap import items, or like basically good import items, take them home, prep them up, try them, and give you his standard statement of what he thinks it's like. Well, one of the varieties that he had, you can't find in this country. And I did actually look for it, and the price for purchase on it is just insane on Amazon. I'm not spending $16 or $18 for just one thing of ramen. That's just insane. But the brand is Indomie or Indomie, so it's Nidomie. This one is the only variety that I found available in my local stores, literally like the shopping center across the street, across the main drag from where I'm at. They got these things for like 35 cents a piece. And now the thing about it is, that's kind of crazy, is this is actually not Korean, and it's not Japanese, and it's not Chinese. This is actually an Indonesian ramen, and it is the chicken curry. So it's cheap. And I was like, all right, I'll give it a whirl. So I bought like about 4 or 5 of the things, and I made 2 of them earlier to try out. Now, in here, this is kind of one of those kind of cool things that's cultural that most people really don't get. Obviously, they open up the ramen package. There's the noodle and the flavor packet. Now, if you're making good ramen, what you normally do is you cook the noodles on the side, and in the bowl, you place the spices and all the rest of that fun stuff. So the noodles and the broth go on top of the seasoning and the little packet of oil, which all this is in. So basically, if you look in here, there is a 2-part packet that is the seasoning spice and chili spice. And then there's a little packet which basically has half of one style and half of another style of combined things that you need to squish up and mix and what have you. And literally what you do is you basically you basically cook through the noodles, you add it to a bowl with the spices and the oil, or you add it to the spices and you dump the oil on top. This one, of course, being the curry one. I didn't make it like that. I basically just dumped everything in the pot all at once. And the only thing I held back on was the chili. And you look at the package and say this is the foil package. Like 2/3 of it is like the seasoning. And it's like the last third of it is the chili. And I was like, wait a minute. I know these island guys. They like smoking hot stuff. I better give this a try. So I like barely snipped the corner off the chili side, dipped out a little bit on my finger, gave it a taste, and it was smoking hot, like really intense, good, hot pepper. Like you don't need a lot. So I put like a little stripe of that in there, dumped a couple of eggs in there, dumped everything into the pot. So I actually made it incorrectly, but you know what? That's still how I make ramen. So oil and everything went in there, spices went in there and everything, couple eggs went in there. Of course, I made 2 of these packages. So all those, goodments, oddments, call them what you wills, went in there and all the rest of that fun stuff. And the only thing I could say that's really a downer about this is I just wish it had more curry flavor. That's the only thing I could say about this. But in terms of the actual execution, in terms of the mouthfeel and everything, this stuff was like phenomenal. I cannot begin to commend it to you. If you guys could find this in your local Asian market or something, get this one. You will definitely be very, very pleasantly surprised. I might even do a YouTube video about it, but I got to tell you what, right out of the box, this one blows this one so far out of the water. It's like you just drove up with the Yugo and I basically just burned out and drove away from you with the Ferrari. It's completely night and day difference. And I was very, very pleasantly surprised. And for the price of entry, man, these guys are making a very, very, very decent product that I was not feeling the slightest bit, even slightly boogered over. This is good shiznit, man. Definitely, if you can find this stuff, try it out. In the room, Patriot Fever says, curry ramen, Miss Patriot, still no snoo. Oh, well, little Patriot breakfast omelet plus Sunday morning plus Mrs. Patriot. Okay, well, that's a good Sunday morning to me. Dude, cut the heat back. Did you get the vaccine recently? No, I have not gotten the vaccine. I am not getting the vaccine. I have plenty of antibodies on previously because I actually had and beat COVID. I got my own antibodies. So I don't need for them to give me the jab of some crud that I'm not going to like and regret later. Fred Hart, I always try to find versions of ramen that are in the cup so I can use my cake cup coffee maker to fill it up with hot water, fast and easy. Okay, if you're going to go that route, Fred, the curry ramen is like amazing. The Nissin curry ramen is like phenomenal. I don't know if you guys saw that video or not, but I can tell you for a fact, Fred, if you can find that stuff, it is beyond amazing. Let me see if I can find it real quick here. If I find a link, I'll just throw you the link, and you can look at it on your leisure. Let's see here. Yes. Now, the thing about it is for a while, Walmart was carrying it. Now, unfortunately, I think it either was one of those cases of Walmart decided it really wasn't worth it. They stopped carrying it, or it was just kind of like a, once in a blue moon type of thing. They just really lucked out to get it all. So I really couldn't tell you what happened on that one, but they did have it at one point in time. So let me lose that screen. So hopefully I'm not dropping out with you guys. But Fred, that's what you're looking for right there. His Walmart still has. Oh, dude, get it. Okay. Trust me on this one. Trust me. It is the absolute best cup of ramen you will ever stick in your yap. It is phenomenal. And I cannot begin to express to you how many times I have basically had one of those, and every time I have tried it, it's been a case of, oh yeah, this is that good. It's got like chunks of potato in it and, little pieces of mystery meat and what have you. But the curry flavor is like ridiculous. You can actually smell the curry coming through the packaging. It is like spot on, good Japanese, kodai. So yeah, it is good shiznit. Anyway, that camel toe eats a lot of curry ramen. Oh jeez. No, she eats a lot of long, thick objects. I'm almost wondering if she doesn't like, ingest like pretty much like large. Never mind. Oh man, yeah, exactly. Fred said, and then you smell curry on you for an hour after eating. Well, that means it's good curry. Yeah, it's like it basically kind of has like this the curry circle of smell. You can't get rid of it. It's just on your face. The curry circle of smell. Oh man, that's funny stuff. Anyway, coming up on the 1:20 time period. I try not to get the shows too terribly long, but I appreciate you guys hanging out with me tonight. Got many other places to go, but you guys hung out with me on Tuesday. I appreciate your kind indulgences. I think it's time for me to blow on out of here and basically go out and make some money because unfortunately, I got some stuff coming up, and I'm going to be kind of a little scarce on the net. So it's pretty much one of those things. I'm just going to have to watch out in that regard because, well, I got stuff coming. So anyway, that's what's going on in that one. And I will have to bid you guys adieu. But, when things happen and I'm not actually able to do stuff online, I will give you guys a heads up. But I will let you know where I will be. So I will be coming up on the, I think it's 7th and 8th, I think it is. Hang on a second. I gotta keep myself honest again. Let's see. It's going to be Friday, August 6th, Friday, August 6th, Sunday, August 7th, Saturday, August 7th, Sunday, August 8th. So Friday, August 6th, Saturday, August 7th, Sunday, August 8th. I will be in Washington, D.C. working the Otakon with one of my friends at a place that he has called Samurai Kingdom, selling items to potentially every geek, nerd, and grubby I can find as they come by. So anyway, that's what's going on that one. And that'll be coming up next month, very shortly. And like nine more days. Yeah, nine more days. I'll be going down to DC. Infamous. Well, it's DC. I mean, it's not that far. It's only like 40 miles from my house. It's easy. But anyway, I appreciate the kind of attention you guys hung out with me tonight. So you get a gold star for attendance. I know you had many other places to go, but you guys decided to hang out with me, and I appreciate it so much. Do be sure to check me out on Gab, Do Jerky 2. Do be sure to check me out on Facebook, Do Jerky 2. On Twitter is 80SPCC. You guys hanging out with me tonight here on the 80s Podcast channel. I appreciate your kind of attention. So I'm going to break up with this one. And like I usually say, Eco Contender Ring is always. You know it, you love it. But you guys hung out with me. See you guys. First.